A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
A Japanese head of state visits Sri Lanka for the first time in 24 years. Gale force winds in Monragala and Ampara, dozens of homes damaged. Road accidents kill 7 and injure 4 in a 12-hour time frame. 100 wild elephants die in the space of 8 months. Minister Rajitha Senaratne on a mission to tackle illegal fishing practices.
And now for the stories in detail. A Japanese delegation led by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe arrived in Sri Lanka today. Now, this is the first time in 24 years that a Japanese head of state is visiting the island.
The Japanese Prime Minister, who arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport on a special Japanese flight, was treated to a red carpet welcome amid much grandeur. Subsequently, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe signed the visitors' book at the VIP lounge. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe also laid the foundation stone for a 2-story terminal building that is being constructed at the Bandaranaike International Airport.
Put your hands together in Japan. The launching of the Bandaranaike International Airport Development Project Phase 2, Stage 2.
The Japanese Prime Minister and his wife Aki Abe were welcomed at the Presidential Secretariat by President Mahinda Rajapaksa and First Lady Shuranti Rajapaksa. A memorandum of understanding was signed between the Board of Investment and Mizuho Bank of Japan parallel to the Prime Minister's visit today. The MOU was signed by the President and CEO of Mizuho Bank, Nobuhide Hayashi, and the Chairman of the BOI, Dr. Lakshman Jayavira. Minister of Investment Promotion Lakshman Yapabe Wardana was also present at the occasion.
I believe that this agreement that we have signed with Japan will enable us to better organize our business community to work with them. This agreement will further strengthen ties.
So the uniqueness of this location, definitely this country can be as a gateway or hub to India or to Middle East or to African countries for Japanese company and for Asian companies. And based on this foundation, we can more encourage the Japanese company or Asian company to come into this market. And definitely, we would like to act as a bridge between these countries, and also we would like to be a true partner for you.
Gale force winds that blew across several villages in the Monragala and Ampara districts damaged numerous homes today.
Our reporter says that strong winds that blew across the Dahangama and Pallayarava areas in the Madagama Administrative Division in Monragala at about 1 o'clock this afternoon severely damaged 51 homes. He added that the winds had also damaged the Kuda Kataragama Devalaya and the Kotuwe Gangoda Primary School. The winds also brought down electricity cables on the Pallayarava road, disrupting the power supply to the area. Strong winds and a hailstorm were reported at about 2 o'clock this afternoon in the Galapitigala and the Gonagala areas in the Ohana Administrative Division in Ampara. The winds had damaged several homes in the area. Our reporter says the winds persisted for about 20 minutes and damaged the electricity cable system in the area, disrupting the power supply.
Let's now take a look at the weather forecast. A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. The Department of Meteorology forecasts that wind speeds can strengthen up to 70 km per hour at times in the Bay of Bengal. As a result, the sea areas of the coast from Putlam to Trincomalee via Mana and Kankasanture and from Mathur to Potuville via Hambantota will be rough with wind speeds reaching up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, the Met Department states that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the sea areas of the coast from Putlam to Hambantota via Colombo and Galle. Now, strong winds up to 60 kilometers per hour are forecast for the Central Hills, northern, north central and northeastern parts of the island. The Met Department also says that these areas may receive thunder showers.
The water supply to several areas was disrupted today as a result of a sudden breakdown in the water main leading from the Abatale Water Purification Centre. And the breakdown had occurred near the Poltua Bridge in Battaramulla.
This water main carries 5,700 cubic meters of water to several areas in Colombo per hour. Incidentally, the water supply to these areas was disrupted for 62 hours recently owing to maintenance work on this pipeline. As a result, questions arise with regard to the standard of the work that was carried out at this location. The suspicion is given further weight when considering what an official who inspected the breakdown had to say when informing the authorities.
We are looking into what happened here. It will take some time to determine what exactly happened. Once we find out, we will be able to restore the pipeline within an hour or two.
Taking a look at another one of our headline-making stories, 8 people have been killed while 7 others have been injured in accidents that occurred between 12:20 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. today. A parliamentarian is among the injured.
Gampaha District Parliamentarian Ajit Mannamperama was injured in an accident that occurred in the Durangoda area on the Southern Expressway. The MP was first admitted to the Nagoda General Hospital, following which he was transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo for further treatment. A police officer who was also injured in the accident is also being treated at the National Hospital in Colombo. Four people were killed in an accident that occurred in Kakirawa at about 1:30 a.m. today. The accident occurred when a cab collided with a three-wheeler near the Kakirawa town on the Kakirawa-Anuradhapura main road. Our reporter says the three-wheeler was dragged on about 70 meters by the cab. The driver of the cab had fled the scene of the accident. A woman and 3 men travelling in the three-wheeler who were headed to Maradan Kadavala to receive Ayurvedic treatment were killed in the accident. An accident involving a bus flying from Kandy to Negombo and a motorcycle travelling from Mavanala to Kandy occurred at around 6:30 a.m. today. 4 members of the same family had been travelling on the motorcycle. The father and son passed away shortly after being admitted to hospital. The mother and daughter are receiving treatment at the Kandy General Hospital, while the driver of the bus has been arrested. Meanwhile, one person was killed in an accident that occurred near the lake ring in Kandy. The police say that the accident occurred when a three-wheeler collided with a car at the Louis Peris junction on the lake ring. The driver of the three-wheeler, who was critically injured in the accident, passed away shortly after admittance to the Kandy General Hospital. The deceased has been identified as a 57-year-old resident of Hingragoda. The police say that the driver of the car had fled the scene of the accident. While an individual claiming to be the driver of the car turned himself over to the police say that investigations had revealed that the individual in question was not driving the car at the time of the accident.
Two Newsfirst reporters have been stationed at the Newsfirst Election Bureau to bring you, our viewers, the latest developments in the run-up to the Uva Provincial Council poll. Newsfirst, Lakmal Kiridigala filed this report from the Monaragala district today.
Newsfirst Uvakaryanshe Upper Other Dine Pura Monral District.
We at the Newsfirst Uva Bureau visited several locations in the Monaragala district today. During our tour, we saw several minor incidents of election law violations. We witnessed an incident of election campaign offices being damaged and hoardings being vandalized. At the same time, we were informed that the election secretariat has received many complaints of incidents of election law violations from the Monaragala district, with the number standing at 116. 71 of these complaints are considered to be pertaining to minor incidents, while 45 are considered to be serious. Meanwhile, at present, the political situation here in Monragala is heating up.
මොන්රාගල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ තත්ත්වය ගත්තොත් දේශපාලන තත්ත්වයේ වාතාවරණය තුළ පොඩි උණුසුම්කාරී තත්ත්වයක් මේ වෙන විට වර්ධනය වෙමින් පවතිනවා.
That was a look at the situation in the Monragala district. Newsfirst Amara Sri Bandara, who is in Badulla, filed this report on the situation there in the run-up to the poll.
අද දවසේ මේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ප්‍රදේශ රැසක සංචාරය කරන්න අපිට අවස්ථාව ලැබුණා විශේෂයෙන්.
We were able to visit many areas of the Badulla district today. When considering the Badulla town, there were only a few illegal campaign activities taking place. In many locations, posters and cutouts had been removed. Meanwhile, in the Passara town, party flags were removed. In Lunugala, illegal posters were removed. In Mahiyangane, there were large hoardings and they were removed this afternoon. At the same time, in areas surrounding Mahiyangane, we could see illegal posters being removed hastily. Incidentally, the Elections Commissioner arrived in Badulla for a discussion. We believe that there might be a connection between the removal of posters and the meeting held with the Elections Commissioner.
මේ නිලධාරීන් ඒ සාකච්ඡාවේ යම් බලපෑමක් තිබුණාද කියන සැකේ යම් ආකාරයකට එනවා. මොකද ඒ සමගම තමයි යම් ආකාරයකින් මේ ඉවත් කිරීම කටයුතු කඩිමුඩියේ සිදුවන ආකාරයක් දකින්නට පුළුවන්කම ලැබුණේ.
Meanwhile, at a media briefing convened today, police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan has said that 11 complaints each had been received from the UPFA and the UNP, while 20 complaints had been received from the JVP with regard to election law violations.
We have instructed the senior officers in the relevant areas to take action to prevent incidents of election violence. Strict action will be taken in the future. Police bail will not be granted to anyone. We hope to produce all violators in court and imprison them.
පොලිසි මගින් අපදීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ අධිකාරියට ඉදිරිපත් කර බන්ධනාගාරගත කිරීමටයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Today's newspapers published a statement by the Elections Commissioner in which he is quoted as saying that if measures cannot be taken to curtail the wave of violence ahead of the UWA Provincial Council elections, a decision has to be taken to postpone the election.
At a media briefing convened today, the UPFS said that incidents of election law violation have not been reported from the UWA province as mentioned in media reports.
When we consider this election, the number of incidents of violence is very few. But the papers say that if there is violence, the election will be postponed. When such statements are made, the people think that this election has become a war zone. But there is no such thing. There are 833 election officers. All the parties have been given the legal right from the constitution to maintain 833 election officers in this province. From this 833, incidents of assault and vandalism have only been reported from 38. Therefore, as a party and as an alliance, we do not believe this.
Up next is a battle for UWA.
In the coming 3 to 4 months, this government will lose 7 to 800,000 votes. While our party has gotten rid of the rotted teeth, the leader of this country has taken these discarded rotted teeth and is now showing them off in front of the media and making statements. They are laughing. When a party is being established, we must establish it amid such problems.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party will join the history books as the party that rebuilt a nation, the party that rebuilt a community, and the party that ended terrorism and a malicious war. The nominations were submitted by the parties, so the election should be held between the parties. But how are elections being held today? They distribute Mamati blades and sickles. They will distribute 2,500 to each person as aid from tomorrow. Think about this for a minute. I wish to ask the people of this country to vote for intelligent persons if they want to rebuild the country and make life easier for the people. If you give your valuable vote to the actors and dancers, then the country will be reduced. It is my hope to build up the UWA province as the best province in the country by uniting all institutions on this journey. We must not limit ourselves to the provincial council, but join with all departments and all corporations on this journey.
The man who is facing hardships faces hardships to the extreme, while the man living in luxury live in luxury to the extreme. We must do away with this gap. In order to do that, we are visiting the villages today and holding meetings and raising awareness among the people.
There's a group that looks on, waiting for the government to make a mistake. They wake up from their beds thinking the government will stick their foot in their mouth today as well. Those in the opposition want the government to make more mistakes and for the people to be battered by these mistakes. At that time, they come before you looking for your vote. There is yet another group who keep saying, go on, go on. They won't know what hit them until after the vehicle crashes.
The Department of Wildlife Conservation notes that close to 100 wild elephants have been killed in various incidents in the recent past. The department notes that a final report on wild elephant deaths this year will be produced in January 2015. Meanwhile, wild elephants which encroached on the Madarigiri area in Polonnaruwa had damaged 2 houses.
While people in Madarigiri have been feeling the effects of the severe drought there, the drought has also dried up the food sources of the fauna in the area. Wild elephants which came from the Somavati reserve damaged 2 homes in the Paranagama area in Vadigavavar early this morning. The wild elephants had consumed the paddy stalks, being carefully watched over by the villagers who have been unable to cultivate for 3 seasons as a result of the lack of water. I ran out of the house with my baby when I heard our neighbors screaming. We are undergoing a very hard life. We are already affected by the drought and it had consumed 4 bushels of our paddy. About 75 families live in this village. A herd of elephants also crashed into the Thalava area in Anuradhapura yesterday. Area residents say these areas have been under threat from wild elephants for close to 1.5 months.
You're with News First, and up next is a look at Action TV.
On Friday, Action TV carried an expose on the unhygienic scenes that have cropped up on the Negombo beach as a result of the Negombo Municipal Council failing to pay due consideration to the resource, which is a major revenue stream for the council in terms of taxes paid by tourist hotels and restaurants in the area. The state of the beach has also caused tourists to have displeasing experiences.
Which is why you have this collection of plastic and bottles and shoes, and it's a shame. What you should have is all the guest house owners, all the hotel owners should say, okay, maybe 50 rupees a week. I pay 50 rupees a week. We employ 3-4 people. All they do all day is up and down the beach and recycle the rubbish. It's simple.
2 machines that were purchased by the Municipal Council to clean the Negombo beach, a major tourist attraction on a daily basis, are rusting away at present. While the beach has become unhygienic, these lampposts which do not provide light have become mere decorations. The Negombo beach, which had been neglected for several weeks by the Municipal Council, was cleaned up today in a joint operation carried out by the Colombo Police Environment Division, the Police Naval Division and the Environment Unit of the Negombo Police. During the clean-up operation today, it was revealed that drains that have been dug to carry wastewater out from the tourist hotels and restaurants on the beachfront are also causing environmental harm.
What we are doing here today is only a first step. The Negombo Municipal Council must take full responsibility in the future. That is what we expect from them.
Will the Negombo Municipal Council succeed in ensuring that this beach is kept spotless, following the example of the clean-up operation carried out today, without allowing it to become a first and last step? Action TV will keep a close watch.
The Sri Lanka Navy has arrested 40 persons in the Kites and Talemana areas for using prohibited fishing equipment. The suspects have been handed over to the Fisheries Department officers in the relevant areas. Now, Fisheries Minister Rajitha Senaratne had previously issued orders that such raids be conducted on a regular basis. The minister had issued this order at a meeting with fishermen held at the Kudapaduwa Cooperative Union Hall in Negombo yesterday. The meeting was held to mark the 37th AGM of the Seanet Owners Fisheries Cooperative Union.
Several persons were arrested on 2 boats last night. They were fined and all boats were seized by the state. Even the nets and equipment were seized. They had come from Pulmode. This is happening everywhere, and if it does not stop, I will start issuing transfers. If that doesn't work, I will show them the door. I have said this clearly. Do not get caught failing to act against the use of prohibited equipment.
449 similar raids were carried out last year. However, the minister charged the raids are not being carried out to prevent the use of illegal fishing equipment in the north and east.
No matter who is against it or how unpopular it is, it's not a problem for us. We do not care how many votes we lose. We will enforce the law in this country. That is why we are here. I am a stance that every law, from the law against murder to the law against jaywalking, must be enforced.
UNP parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa has commenced a relief program for drought-affected people. The inaugural aid distribution event was held in Lunugambehera today.
At present, drought-affected people have been forced to work as hired labourers for the government in order to receive drought relief. I wish to ask the government how it can be labelled relief when citizens of this country are forced to labour to obtain relief. The relief package for 12 days of work is worth 6,000 rupees. But if they work as hired labourers instead, they will receive 12,000 rupees for 12 days of work. So the government pays 50% less for hired labour and then calls it relief. How shameless must they be to do something like this? Clean drinking water was provided to people of Devramvehera in Lunugambehera today under this program.
Welcome back. Here with News First. Democratic Party group leader in the Western Provincial Council, Susil Kindalpitiya, says the country should move forward while protecting the national identity. He made this statement at an event held in Kotikawatha.
A concert featuring the talents of students from the Sindhu Gedura Arts Institute in Kotikawatha was held last evening at Rajasingha College in Kotikawatha. The event was held under the auspices of Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kindalpitiya. I believe that developing a child's taste for arts is akin to developing a complete human being. We must move forward as a nation while protecting our identity. We are still a developing nation, a nation with less facilities. This is an era where we must keep hope in the future. Parents in our country are unable to give their children the things they want. In such a backdrop, we must teach our children good things and we must create a positive environment around them.
Chief Justice Mohan Piris says having lofty religious ideals are pointless if they are not translated into real life. The Chief Justice made this statement at an event held in Colombo last evening.
The Light of Asia 2014 and Dhamma Abhidhamma English Medium Examination 2013 prize giving, organized by the Colombo Young Men's Buddhist Association, was held in Colombo last evening. A distinguished gathering including senior members of the Mahasangha graced the occasion. Chief Justice Mohan Piris was the chief guest at the event.
You and I, we have to have our feet on the ground. All these lofty religious ideas that we are talking of are useless if we do not translate this into real life. I can sit in Halsdorf and write one brilliant judgment after another, and that will be useless if we do not translate what we say from those lofty hills. If the community doesn't react to it, if the community doesn't respect it, and we do not live by those ideals.
Prizes were presented at this event to the winners of the annual Light of Asia contest and to candidates who successfully completed the Dhamma Abhidhamma English Medium Examination in 2013.
The 2014 Indo Futsal Festival got underway in Colombo today.
Popularized in Europe, futsal is a five-a-side sport created based on football. The Indo Futsal Carnival was initiated last year in order to popularize the sport in Sri Lanka. The second edition of the Futsal Carnival is being held under two categories. 12 teams are participating in the schools category, while 24 teams are participating in the open category. General Secretary of the Citizens Front, MP J. Sri Ranga, was the chief guest at the event held today. It is very difficult to earn money through sports like these, and therefore not many people play it competitively. But soccer is a sport that most of Sri Lanka plays. Since the sport must be developed, Coach Bala and I have decided to do it.
We now join Florin Rajendran for the news that made global headlines on the Newsfirst International Desk.
Good evening and welcome to the Newsfirst International Desk. There has been fresh shelling near Donetsk airport in eastern Ukraine, raising fears that a 36-hour-old ceasefire is near to collapse. The truce held for much of yesterday, but overnight shelling in Mariupol was followed by the explosions near Donetsk airport early today.
Reuters described the attack as prolonged. Blasts powerful enough to be heard in downtown Donetsk came from the area near the airport today, which has been under the control of government troops since May and has come under unremitting attacks from pro-Russia separatist rebels since then. A rebel statement said Ukrainian forces violated the ceasefire by firing on their positions in 6 locations yesterday, including near the Donetsk airport. The statement said several rebels were killed. Earlier yesterday, the presidents of Ukraine and Russia said the ceasefire was mostly holding. The truce and 12-point peace roadmap was signed at talks involving Ukraine, Russia, the rebels and the OSCE.
The U.S. defense official had said that the United States has begun carrying out airstrikes near Iraq's Haditha Dam, which was under threat for Islamic State fighters. Now, it is for the first time that the U.S. is targeting IS fighters in the area as the group tries to capture the vital dam. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has unveiled a 900-kilometer multi-layered fence along its border with Iraq as part of efforts to secure the kingdom's vast desert frontiers against the infiltrators and smugglers.
The US strikes, the first in the area, were to protect the Iraqi forces and Sunni tribesmen in control of the dam. US Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said that the airstrikes are in line with the guiding principles of military action in Iraq.
I think the strikes that the United States took are very much in line with what President Obama said were the guiding principles of military action in Iraq. Haditha Dam is a critically important facility for Iraq.
The US has now carried out more than 130 airstrikes since early August. Islamic State fighters have targeted a number of dams in their offensive, capturing the facility at Fallujah. They also took the largest dam at Mosul, but US airstrikes helped force them out.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Jammu city today to review the situation in the flood-hit northern Jammu and Kashmir state. Now at least 160 people lost their lives in the worst floods that the state has witnessed in the last 50 years.
Floods have so far claimed more than 100 lives as the state's main river Jhelum and its tributaries are flowing several feet above the danger mark. Flash floods triggered by heavy downpours caused destruction as authorities closed 4 bridges connecting the 2 parts of Jammu city after suffering severe damage. India's Interior Minister Rajnath Singh also visited the province and declared financial assistance to the flood-affected people. Heavy monsoon rains have also lashed many parts of Pakistan, causing major flooding. At least 150 people have been reportedly killed, as the death toll is expected to rise due to the ongoing floods in that country. Pakistan regularly witnesses severe flooding and landslides during the monsoon season, but authorities say some regions are facing the worst case of flooding in 2 decades.
In business news this evening, the Sri Lanka-Japan Business Forum organized by the Japan External Trade Organization or JETRO and the Sri Lanka-Japan Business Cooperation Committee of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, parallel to the visit of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, got underway in Colombo this evening.
The event was held under the auspices of the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and saw the participation of a distinguished gathering including government ministers and senior corporate executives from Japan and Sri Lanka. Speaking at the event, Senior Minister Dr. Sarath Amrugama elaborated on investment opportunities for Japanese corporations in Sri Lanka.
A new 4th item is emerging, which I want to tell you, that is we have found large deposits of gas the eastern part of Sri Lanka. And once we exploit that, that will be a game changer in Sri Lanka. So all this requires high technology. And your assistance is very important. It's a very good opportunity for us to think big and think into the future. And since all the CEOs of the biggest corporations in Japan are here today, I'm glad to give this message.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was also presented with a token of appreciation during the business forum.
Taking a look at sports news now. Sri Lanka emerged fourth at the Malaysian Rugby Sevens while the cup was won by Hong Kong.
The Malaysian Rugby Sevens, which concluded today, is the second stage of the Asian Sevens Championship. The Sri Lankan Sevens team saw the participation of Fijian rugby player Imori Wakuvulagi and national rugby team captain Yoshita Rajapaksa. Sri Lanka defeated Malaysia in the quarter-final encounter today by 28 points to 7. However, the Lankans were defeated 14 points to 7 in their semi-final encounter against Hong Kong, the eventual winners. Sri Lanka and South Korea faced off in the third playoff, where the Lankans were defeated by 26 points to 14. Powerhouse Japan were defeated by Hong Kong by 24 points to 7 in the cup final. Hong Kong have cemented their place at the top of the Asian Sevens points table following the second stage, which concluded today. Japan are ranked second and South Korea third, while Sri Lanka have claimed the fourth position.
Waiting for their chance as well.
12 netballers are representing the Sri Lankan team at the Asian Netball Championships, which commenced in Singapore today. Notably, they have been accompanied by 12 sports officials. The president of the Sri Lanka Netball Association Interim Committee, the secretary, treasurer, 2 committee members, a netball project officer, an assistant coach, a technical coach, a specialist coach and a doctor are among them. The Director General of Sports and another member of the interim committee will join the contingent on the 12th of this month, bringing the total number of officials to 12. However, the national netball coach was not granted the opportunity of accompanying the team to Singapore.
I'm still the national coach. I was appointed the national coach for the year 2014. The team's departure there without their coach will cause great harm to the team. The team may train, but without a coach on the bench, the team will collapse. Something like this has happened for the first time in the history of Sri Lanka.
However, Director General of Sports Ranjini Jayakodi says the situation has arisen as a result of the coach failing to execute her responsibilities. In a statement to Sports First, Jayakodi noted that the national coach's daughter too had been included in the netball squad. She claims that teammates had complained that the coach was giving special treatment to her daughter and did not train them afterwards. Jayakodi notes that as a result, a specialist coach and a technical coach were appointed targeting this tournament. However, the bitter truth uncovered that the national coach's daughter has not been included in the squad. Nevertheless, is it not the netball administration itself that created a conflict of interest by appointing the mother to be head coach while the daughter was in the team? Our attempts to make inquiries from the president and secretary of the interim committee of the Netball Association were unsuccessful. Committee member Lakmini Kirtinanda noted that they had been prohibited from speaking on the matter to the media until the end of the tournament.
They are not working for the progress of netball in Sri Lanka. There is an internal power struggle between them. It is to do with money and the need to participate in foreign tours. I believe the sports minister too has to be held accountable because it is a committee appointed by him that is not adhering to the rules he introduced.
7-time Asian champions, Sri Lanka lost the title last year, losing the final by 1 goal to Singapore. Who can guarantee that the power struggle in netball administration will not affect the mentality of the girls who are tiring to reclaim that crown for their country? Open for debate.
Well, that's all we have from tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudarnaik. Good night.